Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I am the Gothic Rose, and this is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. If this is your type of content, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and hit that bell, because I am not going to stop. Hello, dear fiends of the den. We are back with more paranormal today. It is more dark news. And I just have to ask, what do you think of these glasses? I absolutely love them. I got them on TikTok for about $3, I think, and 68 cents, something like that. Since my eyes are so sensitive now, I said I was going to buy these big rose colored Jackie O type glasses, and poof, these appeared on TikTok. I had to get them. I think I love them. I think they are a look, and I need to get some prescription glasses with rose colored lenses. Now, let's talk theology versus demonology. Let's deep dive into the shadowy corners of where philosophical and spiritual thought and tension between theology and demonology, not just as academic disciplines, exist, but as symbolic battlegrounds of belief, control, and forbidden knowledge. Theology, at its core, is the study of the divine. It seeks to understand the nature of God, the structure of religious truth, and the moral frameworks that guide human behavior. But what happens when theology becomes institutionalized? When it's used not just to explore the divine, but to gatekeep it? So, this is where my dark theory begins, that theology and demonology are very, very close. It's just interpretations. As I'm waiting for these books on demonology to show up that I purchased from Thrift Books, which are the Black Arts 50th Anniversary Edition, Prayers That Rout Demons and Break Curses, and the History of Witchcraft and Demonology, I have studied theology my whole life, being a cradle Catholic and going to Sunday classes that we called CCD from first grade through eighth grade. So I went to school 6 days a week. And if you count dance class on Saturdays, 7 days a week, I was doing something, but it was always learning. So I had this interest in theology, of course, from a very young age. And also, I went to a Catholic high school, so we also had religion classes, and, everything revolved around prayer and Catholicism. And it's just a very interesting subject, especially when you start reaching out into demonology and looking into Judaism and looking into Islam and seeing what they have as demons or bad spirits as well. It's very, very complex and quite amazing. There are arguments that theology, especially in its more rigid forms, doesn't just illuminate, it suppresses and it defines what we call holy by casting shadows on what it deems unholy. And in doing so, this creates the very need for demonology, which is the study of demons, fallen angels, and the forces that oppose divine order. But demonology is more than just the flip side of theology. It's often a repository for everything that theology refuses to acknowledge, which is the seven deadly sins, things like desire and rebellion and hidden knowledge. And in some esoteric traditions, demons aren't merely evil, they are misunderstood forces, symbols of autonomy, or even guardians of those forbidden truths, like we know in the story of Adam and Eve with the snake telling Eve to bite the apple, which supposedly she did, except men have the Adam's apple, not women. Very weird stuff. See what has been rewritten, and since when? Ancient times. I just find it all so very interesting because my theory suggests, and I'm sure many others have it, that theology and demonology are not opposites but codependents. Theology needs demonology to define its boundaries, and demonology needs theology to give it its entire context. So together they form this dialect, this language, this spiritual Cold War where power and morality and mystery are constantly negotiated, and the price, our eternal souls. What do you think of my theory on demonology and theology going hand in hand? Because this is something that I have learned my whole life. I would like to look into next the seven deadly sins as opposed to the Ten Commandments and the stories behind those, because I just find this all so interesting. And I said a while ago that spooky season starts September 1st, but for me, it's now August because I just can't stay away from the paranormal. But stay tuned this weekend for an Epstein conspiracy update and a hot mess of Hollywood, including some Blake Lively news. Thank you all for joining me in the den. If you've got something to say, send me an email at welcometothedenpodcast@gmail.com.